What is up, everybody, and welcome into the Losers Lounge. I'm going to try to bring the energy for you guys. Third straight Losers Lounge.
Yeah, this sucks.
It like, never gets comfortable.
No, this sucks.
This really genuinely sucks.
I'm going to uncut my hair. I apologize.
Ooh, that's a great point.
Apologize for the mojo.
I thought you were going to
shift.
say I'm like going to uncut myself as if like it was. I really
No.
thought you were going to get really dark.
Still live
there.
on the internet. Trying to save the vibes.
Today, guys, this post-game show is, of course, as always, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use promo code DNVR when you do. You watch the pregame show, you made money tonight. I know I made 10 units tonight.
I made 10 units myself.
Oh wait, no, I made seven and a half units.
I made 10 units myself.
Yeah, it was a big one on our bets. It was not a big one for us. The only bet I lost, of course, was Nuggets to win, money line. Felt like they had a chance. There's a lot to talk about, guys. I feel like this game was in many ways a microcosm of the season. Kind of highlighted a lot of what's going on with the Denver Nuggets right now, and I want to get into all of that. I got the man with this. Did we determine? Is that a bomber?
Yeah, no, it's a leather jacket. Just a classic leather jacket.
What's a bomber again?
It has to do with the collar style.
The collar style makes it a bomber?
It's what everyone in LA wears. It's like
Yeah, this is like a sports bomber.
Oh, I see. That has that little thing on it. Okay. Yours should have that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get on it.
I got it. D-line over here in the bomber.
What's up, guys? Nobody bombing like me and the Nuggets.
The Nuggets are, in fact, bombing. And then over here, superstar Duvalier.
I really don't like being in those loser lounges, and it seems like we just have been here a little too long.
Yeah,
We
we're
need
getting
to
too
get out of
comfortable.
here. Whoever they play next, we have to get out of this funk.
Right. Well, the nice thing is there are some winnable games on the horizon. Like Denver just went through a tough stretch. Utah, Lakers. You're supposed to have Detroit in there, but you have Utah, Lakers, Sacramento, who I don't know if you guys have noticed, but is like streaking right now. I think they've won 8 of 9 or something like that. They have some.
Is that right?
Yeah, they have wins over a bunch of good teams, so they're caught them at the wrong moment. And then, of course, tonight the Bucks, a very good team. So I think a little bit of this. There's the desire to start swinging haymakers here and really start doing this. And look. There's a lot to be concerned about with the Nuggets. I think there's a lot to lose enthusiasm with about the Nuggets in this season, at least at the moment. But I also think within the broader context, these were games they were going to struggle for anyway. But I'm going to start like I always do and ask what the big takeaway is, because I have a couple that I feel like are more important, but I'm curious if everybody else does. Dev, I'll start with you.
The two things that stand out for me, bigger than everything else, is still their third quarter woes.
Yeah.
They went on a 15-0 run. The Bucks went on a 15-0 run, and the Nuggets just could not stop the bleeding or slow it down in any type of way.
15-0 run.
And against a team that's as talented as the Bucks, there's no way you give up that type of momentum and expect it back. You can do that against a team that's not that good, but it's Giannis with 2-time MVP, and they know how to win these games. And then my second one would just be like the amount of carrying and load that Nikola Jokic has right now, and he's just not getting anyone else to do anything to help him, and it's making it really hard. I mean, Barton had a good game today, but it's not what you expect from everyone else trying to give in with him, and they can't find their identity with Jokic being the only one that could do anything.
So true. Yeah, for me, the biggest takeaway is that Jamal Murray has to show up. The Denver Nuggets are going absolutely nowhere without both. Jokic is a guarantee. You can pencil him in.
He's had
every
one
single
bad
night.
game. It happened to be the only game apparently anybody watched, as I've listened to podcasts all week about how he actually hasn't been good this year because it happened to be on TNT when he was against the Lakers. But Jokic, in my opinion, I think was it 23 games this year for the Nuggets. Is that right? Is it 23? Nope, it's 22 games. I think Jokic has 21 good or better games. Yep. One game that was like mediocre. It wasn't. I don't even think it was bad. It was mediocre. But of those 21 good games, like 16 of them are bangers. Like tonight or better.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, he can't. He's on such a unbelievable roll right now, and it's so frustrating. He can't get any help at all. Nothing reliable. Anybody who starts out hot for the Nuggets you can just guarantee that they're going to cool off at some point. You can just watch their confidence surge when they come in, and then something just slowly seeps out of them. You feel really confident that Paul Millsap is going to hit 3-pointers in the first half. In the second half, you're like, do not touch the ball.
Right. Yeah.
It's really incredible just to think about. The Nuggets have been an up and down type of team. But there's one thing that has been for certain every single time, and it's Nikola Jokic. And that does not matter that every team is giving him so many different looks and they're giving double teams and making him have to think on the fly, and he's still getting it done, but he still is not getting anyone else to help him out. And I know it has to be frustrating with him, and you could actually start to see it spill out throughout the games now.
And the thing with Jokic, and we've talked about this before a little bit, it's unfair to compare Jamal Murray to him, but I mean they're both getting paid the same. I mean they're both on max contracts, and one of the things you look at is last year through 22 games, Jokic maybe had 3 or 4 bad ones. Wasn't many, but it was 3. It was a couple, and then his average was a little bit lower. A part of what's happened this year is like his average game now is like 27, 28 points. With Murray tonight was kind of a no-show. I mean, 4 of 17 points, and I don't know how many of those 4 came in the first quarter. I felt like all of them.
He got 9 points.
9 of his 11 points came in the first quarter.
He came in on
2
fire.
points
We were
in the
like,
final
man,
3.
Murray's back.
That's a really rough, and it's just, we've talked about this all the time, but when Murray's not good, the Nuggets, they need like multiple guys to be good. And tonight, you mentioned Barton. I thought Barton was good in the first half. Second, we're going to talk about a lot of people sending me the whole like check his plus minus this or that. I'm going to talk about that in a second because I think it's one of my main takeaways. But before we get there, Vogt, your piece here on this.
I hope I'm not
game.
stepping on your toes, man, but this team doesn't have any wings.
Yeah.
And Barton played, I thought,
Yep.
decent to good defense tonight on Khris Middleton, but it didn't matter because he wasn't tall enough, long enough, big enough. And especially when PJ Dozier's hurt, who's not even a wing, by the way. It's a point guard who we're sort of looking at as the next guy up. As you're waiting for MPJ to figure this out, which could be a long wait. This guy's probably more of a 4 than a 3. We'll find out. In the meantime, they don't have any wings. And that reared its head against Khris Middleton tonight. And he's a great, great player. But there's levels to this. And there are higher levels than Khris Middleton.
So Middleton tonight goes for 29 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists on 9 of 16 shooting. He goes 0 of 5. The only shots he missed were his threes. He missed one shot inside there. He gets to the foul line 11 times, which alone is tough. But to have a near 30-point triple-double from a guy that's not known for collecting triple-doubles, but the thing about it was Denver didn't have anybody that they could put on. We saw Harrison Barnes. Khris Middleton's like super Harrison Barnes in some ways. I know it's like an offensive. This is like an offensive comp for Khris Middleton because he's so much better at it. But what I mean is Harrison Barnes is really good at using his size and kind of getting to that spot, elevating for his jumper, and if you're not tall enough, you can't block it. Middleton's an elite mid-range jump shooter, and he just got to his spots today against Barton, against Jamal Murray, against whoever they were trying to use against him, and it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't bad defense. It was, there's nothing you can do. It would be like somebody trying to defend Jokic with somebody 6'7", 6'8". Like the height. At a certain point, you're just like, yeah, this isn't going to work no matter how good you are on defense.
You got to keep him from getting to the spot. Once a scorer like Middleton is in his spots and in rhythm, and the guy's not tall enough.
But the 11 free throws are like trying to keep him out of his spot is really difficult for a skilled big player.
Right,
Like, this isn't some scrub. This is a guy that's like knows how to get to his spots against people his height.
And it's a shooting guard trying to get physical with
him. And I was just going to say, Khris Middleton is an all-star, and not the fact that it's even an all-star. We could go back to Harrison Barnes. The idea of these type of games, and this is a game that I think that you want to just see how they would fare against a star player, a player that just looks at the Nuggets team and goes, I know Will Barton can't guard me. I know Michael Porter Jr. can't guard me. And those are the only guys that they have back there. What are they going to do? Because when you had Torrey Craig, at least it was a guy that was going to be strong. He's going to be up on you. For Oklahoma City, they have Dort. He could be strong. He could be up on you. Everyone's looking at them, especially when you look at them in a playoff scenario. Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James is who you're going to have to go through if you want to, go to the conference finals or even go to the finals. Those guys are looking at Will Barton and Michael Porter Jr. and they're saying that's lunch. Like, I could do that whenever I want.
Baby food. Yeah, Khris Middleton kills us every time he comes to the Ball Arena. Every time he comes to the Pepsi Center, every single time they're like, Scott Hastings will be like, man, we can't let this guy out of the building until we sign him to a contract. It's just like something about playing in Denver. He just murders us every time. And I'm sure it's the matchup. And he's a great player. And this is just another night like
I got a lot of people saying that, like, look at the plus minus, Barton minus 19. And in the second half, once he cooled off on offense, then he was no longer valuable on offense or on defense. But to me, that minus 19 was because he mirrored Khris Middleton, who was a team high plus 17. Like, sometimes the plus minus, you can actually get to the bottom of what it was. And I don't know, short of putting Michael Porter on him for more extended minutes. But again, like, Michael Porter was making some mistakes out there tonight that I know why Malone wasn't giving him, didn't have the trust in him to do that, this or that or whatever. But, we have talked in the past about Michael Porter screws up in the thinking part of the game. Maybe you put him on the best player to begin with, and you don't have to think. You just got to guard him and see what happens. Like it's hard for me to imagine he could have done worse than allowing him to 29 points because at least he does have the physical tools. But again, that trust there with Michael Porter just isn't there from Michael Malone. But also, guys, tonight, I think it was very clear, also from his teammates. And this brings in a layer that I think we've under-discussed a little bit. Michael Porter took a shot tonight that was a little weird. It doesn't kill me. Like, he takes bad shots sometimes. A lot of guys take – Jamal Murray takes bad shots.
Sure.
Will Barton takes lots of bad shots. Like, there's a lot of guys that take bad shots. It doesn't bother me. But when you watch Jokic's reaction to that one, those guys – George Karl talks about this all the time. It's all about connection. It's about trust. It's trust that's given but also trust that's earned. And I think it's hard for anybody. And I love Michael Porter. I want him to work out, and there's still time. But it's hard to watch that play and be like, man, this team – and think anything other than this team, the coach and the star player have zero trust.
Yep.
Not faith, trust in him to make the right play. And it was tough. I'll be honest, it was tough to watch. It was a tough sequence.
You said that it was the shot that he was upset with, and that's the one that everyone's seen. The pass, the turnovers.
You're right. That is what it was.
That's
100%.
the one that
you're right.
Jokic screamed like twice out loud. He's very upset. He already looks away whenever Michael Porter Jr. takes a bad shot. But that pass on a 2-on-1, and it ended up being a dunk on the other end. Middleton throws it down.
He was just
Giannis
guessing. There's reads and there's guessing.
Yeah, you're just out there just not reading anything. But that's
not reading the court. Very predictable.
That's the one that Jokic was very highly upset and
because it was like a slow moving car wreck.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
Jokic is standing at half court, like, don't do what you're about to do. Don't do it. He did it.
But then now moving forward, like how does Michael Porter Jr. react back to that? 'Cause
Right.
you don't want to make mistakes. But you don't want to play outside of your game, but you're a player that makes a lot of chances. So now he's like in a spot where he's like, I don't know what to do. I really think that Michael Porter Jr., for the first time in his life, does not know what to do on a basketball court.
He looks so miserable, man. Like, I honestly feel for him because we know how talented he is. And it's a weird thing when you're that talented to lose confidence because for reasons it's not I honestly don't think Michael Porter's sitting there going, nobody, is giving me this, nobody's giving that. I think he's like, I don't know how to fix whatever's broken with me right now. Like, I'm so far away in the part of the game that's holding me back.
Do you think he should go back to the bench? Is there something about playing with Jokic that if he knows if he makes the wrong play, he's going to be penalized?
I just don't think you want to wave that white flag yet, man. Like in terms of trying to forge through, figure it out, right? I mean, this is the plan.
But but if it at this point, it feels like you are further damaging the relationship with Jokic.
And this is what's interesting is we don't know, and this would be a great thing, I think, honestly, that it's going to bubble to the surface more and more, and there's questions to be asked about this, but this is also a challenge for Jokic. I said this on the Locked On Nuggets pod yesterday. Me and Matt Moore had, I think, a very good back and forth about this, but I'm a big believer in, first of all, it's personal responsibility. If you don't make it in the league, if you don't get it, first and foremost, it falls on the player. So the lion's share of all of this, in my opinion, is going to fall on Michael Porter.
Sure.
If he gets bounced from this team, bounced for the league, whatever it is, it'll ultimately be he has to look in the mirror for that. But I'm also a big believer in when you're a team, there's this other thing where you're all one. You're all part of one entity here, and you have to figure out, all of you, how to get this thing to work. And I think for Jokic, the real challenge is he's also not getting through to this dude. Michael Porter clearly doesn't know what Jokic wants or is incapable of doing it.
Yeah.
You got to find a way to get this guy, because if not, the season's not going to go that successfully.
No, it's very horribly.
It's very clear that the Nuggets are going to have flaws. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline. They're going to have flaws. The key is they might have some weapons that other teams can't balance if they can get those weapons to work, and right now they're not.
Yeah. I mean, this has been the story coming into the season. This is going to be the story the entire season. It's just whether or not Michael Porter Jr. can play in a way that is beneficial enough to the Nuggets to make them
right,
and also not only add to what Murray and Jokic were able to accomplish, but often there needs to be nights like tonight where you're like, wow, Jamal does not have it. Michael Porter Jr. needs to step up. That's the other natural scorer on this team. It's nice to see Will Barton have a nice night. It's nice to see Paul Millsap step up, but this is as good of a game as you're going to get out of Will Barton.
100%.
Like this was
100%.
this was a
Yep.
top Will Barton game.
This is going to be easily a top 5 Will Barton game this
Which
year.
I mean,
would
he
predict.
played a great game. You know,
Yeah.
he really did. And it's not enough. Like we need more, and we have it. We have it in potential. We just don't have it in action, and we know it's there. But yeah, that's the question. Like, can they turn potential into kinetic?
I think, and I don't think it's personal outside of the fact that MPJ has the biggest room for growth. But I just think Jokic, you have to play the right way. That means more to him than anything, right? So that fast break possession that Dev mentioned,
right?
Knowing where to be, moving when you're not involved, cutting timely cuts, not just cutting here and there, like. That's the stuff that gives Jokic life, and that's the source of his frustration.
Yeah, I think Jokic, more than any other player in this league, is a process over results player.
No
meaning,
doubt.
like, he really does just. That's why sometimes we get frustrated or like, do this, shoot the ball more, or do this or that. And he's like, guys, healthy process over time is going to pay off in the end. And so I think you're right. I think that was 100% spot on. Like, when he sees somebody break process because they're capable or just because they didn't read the court well or whatever it is, it really gets on him. Dev, are you concerned seeing Jokic scream at him the way that he – because we've seen little frustrations, but I felt like this was the most frustrated we have seen Jokic directed solely at one player.
I'll say yes and no. The only reason I say no is because we've been seeing Jokic in a different light altogether this year. Many question if he cared. We've seen since the kick, when he kicks the chair, he truly does care. And now we've always wanted Jokic to be more talkative and more of a leader. And now he's stepping out and he's calling people out on the spot, or he's saying things and he's demanding the ball. Like, he's doing things that most leaders will do. So like on that hand, we're saying no. But then at the same time, it's already a player that's, kind of broken. Like he feels as if his coach doesn't like him. And now the star player, he can't fit around him. He doesn't know what to do in these type of spots. Like, how many people are telling Michael Porter Jr., like, you're fine? Or, like, how do you get him back to the light of shoot the ball when you want to, do what you want to out there on the floor, and, like, be yourself? And that's why I think until recently, I thought about always, I don't know why Michael Porter Jr. doesn't want to be on the bench, at least until he figures everything out.
At
less
least pressure.
He learns the plays.
That's what I'm saying.
Because you're not looking at him in the same light if he's just on the bench and he's taking shots and he's learning the plays, or he's learning how to operate in different ways. But now when you're a starter and now you have the light on you around Jokic, who's a superstar right now, you're not being the same you, and you're trying to find things that are not there. So I'll say yes and no on
but
that.
I mean, how do you develop, though, if you don't get those minutes? I mean, ultimately, it's about whether he fits with Jokic.
But don't you think that he just needs to, like what Dev is saying, like he needs to find his confidence before he can
Maybe
even come.
That might be.
You know what I mean? He needs to find.
I feel like we're
himself.
tearing down back to the
it's
studs.
like,
Rather, we thought we were renovating, but we're like, we got to start
like
over.
It's like when somebody's like going to get it back into a relationship, and you're like, bro, you got to work on yourself first, right? You can't bring this baggage into a new relationship. With Jokic.
If you like rewind back to the Mike, keep on having Mike type moments, and he becomes the player, or he gets the confidence where he's scoring at will. Then you throw him in there.
Yeah.
Like, then you like, okay, let's see you do it like alongside someone. Then your shot is on, or you're scoring in so many different ways that it's like, okay, I made a mistake, but I'm still scoring.
Right.
But right now it's like we had the Mike moment, then we had a couple of bad games, and then it's like, okay, we'll put you in the starters and see how you do.
Right.
Now he's like, no. Like,
it's so true. It does feel a little backwards.
now.
Like he's playing so poorly over these last few, and he's starting.
All that said, I mean, look, these moments of friction, like, they happen, right? And these are adults, these are professionals. It's not, you don't point to it and go, oh, there's a problem. It's just an observation.
Right.
It's something that these guys have to figure out.
And honestly, like, here's the funny thing: we get so many comments from people that are, really frustrated, and I get it. Like, guys, this is your outlet. You could be frustrated. Keep it nice with each other. Like, honestly, if you want to yell at somebody, yell at Eric.
I was going to say, continue to call me a dipshit.
Is that the comment section? Is it a real dumpster fire?
I'm reading between the lines on some of these.
No, but seriously, guys, if we're not enjoying the sports process, like, why are we part of it? And this is one of the things where professional athletes, and especially great ones, are built different, #built different, than most of us in this one regard. you're built through adversity. You're built through the hard times. And we always get the comments that are like, Jokic should demand a trade. They're wasting him or this and that. They were in the Western Conference Finals like 3 months ago. This team is on like they're like 3 losses below what they should be at right now. Like, okay, they're on a little bit of a bump right now, of course. Like Murray is kind of letting Jokic down right now. Millsap and Barton, like, yep.
Murray's absolutely letting
these guys
Jokic
are, but
down.
guess what? You can't. The world doesn't exist where you just cut bait and leave every time things get hard. You can't do that in your personal life, so you don't want that to happen with your superstars. You'll send them all to L.A. Like Jokic would really win a championship this year if he gets to L.A.
That said, I'm reading the room on the chatters, and I agree with them. I am ready to move off of MPJ a little bit because I don't think. I mean, the MPJ Jokic dynamic, I think, is a big observation and takeaway from this game. I thought for 3 quarters, MPJ's 2.5 quarters, his defense was all right.
Oh, wait, when the wheels came off,
when the wheels came off, it came off quick in
the
fourth. I thought the body language, the defense, much better in the first half. That's all stuff we'll keep an eye on. Really weird rotation from Malone in the first half tonight.
Let's take our first break because on the other side we need to get to Jamal Murray. We got to get because Jamal Murray we didn't spend enough time on him. Like it was really disappointing tonight because they get that win if they get an average Murray game.
I don't even know what else to talk about with him though. Like,
well, maybe it'll be quick then. Maybe it'll quick. We'll talk about the rotation. Vlatko Cancar, he's in, and then we'll also talk about another player who was there, former Denver Nugget Torrey Craig. I'll be honest, man. I was first to say don't need him, but now you look around and you're like, wow, they could have used a 6'8" wing here.
We nailed a lot of bets in the pregame show. We should have smashed the Torrey over on threes. That was a lock tonight, dude.
For sure.
Nug life. Guys, have you tried the Mile High City Copper Lauder from Breckenridge Brewery? It's Denver Nuggets themed. It's Denver Nuggets branded.
Denver Nuggets beer.
If you are a Denver Nuggets diehard,
unofficially,
get yourself the Mile High City Copper Lager. If you're not sure where to pick that up,
official partnership.
That's why we put the shirt out.
You can come down to the DNVR Bar on Colfax. We've got Breckenridge Brew on tap. Or you could check out the Breck Beer Locator. It tells you where the nearest Breck Brew is to you, down to the nearest 10th of a mile. You can choose what flavor you're looking for. Just punch in that MHC, find some. It's delicious. Or the farmhouse is open, socially distanced, beautifully set up for dining. If you're more comfortable at home, you can also order curbside pickup from 12 to 8. You can get beer delivery from the Drizzly app or head to the nearest grocery store like King Soopers or Costco. Order delicious food and booze from the farmhouse if you're able. Call 303-803-1380 from 12 to 8 p.m. for pickup. Use DNVR to save $5. That's 3-803-1380.
Let's go.
And then,
what else you got? What else you got, man?
Flame vote. Boo. You see, this is what happens. The pressure.
Oh, no.
Always do a video ad where you're
I got it. It's time to talk about Hassel Cattle Company, the official stake of the World Food Championships. The WFC is held in Dallas, has 1,500 chefs from 45 states and 20 countries competing for $3,500 The Super Bowl of food sports. They provided 850 ribeyes for the Shed Steak Cook-Off. Check out Hassel Cattle Wagyu.
I swear the bar,
Head to Hassel Cattle Company.
The jukebox, it like reads our moods and then plays music that reflects.
This is my anxiety trying to get through this.
Like an anxiety.
It's terrible. I'm sweating. The sweat ramped up. Head to HasselCattleCompany.com.
Can we like order?
Use promo code DNVR10 for 10% off your order. That's DNVR10 for 10% off. Any orders over $200, you get free shipping. Check out Hassel Cattle Company. We promise you will not be disappointed. I can't do ad reads.
Death to everyone.
That felt like a third quarter. I got to knock
All right, back here, guys, on the DNVR Nuggets post-game show. Thanks for hanging with us. The real ones, they're here for the Losers Lounge. Man. Anybody shows up for the Winners Lounge.
Our 606, we're dropping.
The real one, we're dropping here. This keeps going on. No, the real ones are here for the Losers Lounge. So, let's get in. Let's talk about the rotation here really quickly because Vlatko Cancar, as much as I like him, and I kind of actually trust him to do like his job, but he's not a great player.
No, but he just feels like pure fundamentals, right? Like,
yes, exactly what he is.
Like Vlatko's not going to go out there and like dribble into traffic and try and make a spin move. He's not going to do anything that Paul Millsap or say Will Barton would do, but he's not going to do what Paul Millsap or Will Barton would do, which is hit shots.
Right.
So
I think the better comparison though would be Bol, Zeke Naji, and Isaiah Hartenstein. And I'm surprised at how many Nuggets fans are completely off the Hartenstein bandwagon. Because look, everybody looks at Michael Porter being out of the rotation, not knowing where his minutes coming in. They're like, I understand it, play him more. Hartenstein was good, I thought, early in the season. He gets cut out of the rotation, and then he plays these spot minutes, and like. we're judging him on 4 or 5 minutes at a time, and they've not been good.
We've talked about MPJ feeling yanked around and not getting into a rhythm. When are your minutes coming? I mean, not that as much is expected from Hartenstein, but at this point, how is he supposed to be ready for game night? And if he's coming in,
something else has to be going on with him.
3-4 minutes at a time, look, he's picking up a lot of fouls. Well, maybe part of that is he just feels like he's got to do something, throw his body around, make an impact.
I think he just fouls a lot.
That too. But here's my ultimate point is what you were making, which is like Malone doesn't trust him.
Right.
And until Malone trusts him and it fails, I'm not sure that we have enough evidence to say, oh, Hartenstein doesn't have it. He hasn't gotten a chance.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played well. That's pretty. Like, you can't really deny that. I don't mind giving Vlatko a look. You know what I mean? Like, Vlatko's he's paid his dues much more.
He
than
has
Isaiah
played his dues. It's a good point.
And so, if you're not getting it, it's not that you're like especially not getting it done, but you're getting like such little from Isaiah, even when he's playing well. Like, let's see if we can get the same thing from Vlatko. Like, why not? So, I mean, I don't really know what the answer is here. I just know that we just have Jokic and a bunch of guys, and it's sort of like we're just arguing around the margins a little bit, when really it's just like we just need Jamal goddamn Murray to make some shots. And
we are
fair, man.
arguing the margins. This is the margin
That is fair,
segment, though. But 5 points from JaMychal Green, 3 points from RJ Hampton, 0 points for Vlatko Cancar, 12 for Monte Morris, who's basically like the sixth starter. But that bench, man, you get 8 points from the others outside the top six, man. What do you think about the bench lineup and Malone trying so many different players there?
I think that you have to try because you just don't get anything. If you have nothing to go off of, it's like, let's give this guy a chance. Like, or let's try, especially with the injuries coming into place. Now you put Michael Porter Jr. and you also have Barton in the starting lineup. So who's your scoring option with that anyway? So now you're just trying to mentally come up with the idea of, do I go all defense because I don't have any type of scores, or do I go all like what can they do?
Right.
You guys are like a little bit confused about like why Hartenstein doesn't play or why like things like that. I'm confused how Vlatko can't. I thought he was a mascot. I didn't know. Honestly, I really
Him
didn't.
and Greg Whittington?
He doesn't do anything great for me on the basketball court. That confuses me. Like, if you're going to give those minutes up, you might as well give Bobo, who we know has a high ceiling
Bobo?
and is trying to learn. Like, at least that makes
that's
sense to me.
My thing. Boulder's the high ceiling. Hartenstein, not quite with like the Bull stuff, but this is a guy you want to find out if he can play. Like, Vlatko's the most known quantity on the entire roster.
Yeah, and it's like
what are we
he's a
trying to
unit.
figure out here?
He's a total unit. What's his phrase?
On
He's a
February
unit.
8th.
Absolutely.
He's an absolute unit, meaning he's worth one betting unit.
Yeah. But then with Hartenstein also, back to Hartenstein, like, he's a traditional big. Like, he's what's been pushed out of the league.
Yeah.
So I really don't get why we like are so confused why he's not playing minutes, because he doesn't answer anything that the Nuggets need. Like, he's not a defensive big man. He doesn't, rebound particularly well. Like, he doesn't do anything great. He just is out there for minutes. So you might as well give those minutes to someone else that has a higher upside, or at least has something to build off of. And that's where I'm at on that.
Well, so here this brings us, and I hate to go to this one, but
Nuggets
matched up with him tonight, and Torrey Craig. That was a player that was willing and able and desperate to
ultimate try hard.
Yeah, but he wanted to be. Well, here's the thing: if he was on the Nuggets roster tonight, how much would he have played?
Probably a lot.
Tonight,
He would have played the full game. He would have
30
started.
minutes.
He would have played the full game.
That's true. And look, I do think there's something too. Malone would want Michael Porter to play minutes. I think that would have like maybe stymied things, and because of what we're already seeing. But you do go and look at it. They chose Campazzo over Torrey Craig. And Denver now, as you look at this, like Campazzo was active tonight but didn't play. I'm sure because he became active so late or whatever. I suspect he'll play going forward. But Campazzo doesn't fix any of the things we're talking about tonight.
No, nothing.
And that's kind of thing. Torrey Craig would, and I'll be the first to admit it. I was wrong on this one. I was good riddance, Torrey Craig. Like, and I still don't think he's a great player, but like, Denver needs anybody between the heights of 6'6" and 6'10". They don't have anyone.
I gotta say though, I mean, part of the problem is that when Jokic goes off the floor, the Nuggets are wholly unable to score in any capacity, and so, maybe maybe Campazzo helps loosen those gears a little bit. Like he gets people in good position to make easy shots. Like there were just a couple of moments in this, just these high leverage moments where just one thing could have gone one way or the other, and it went.
The Jamal Murray open three on the corner was the ultimate. Like if he hits that, I think the Nuggets win. But revisiting the Torrey Craig decision, like you were pretty for it as well when Denver cut ties with him. But do you feel differently now?
No, it's gonna feel that way after games like this, especially because he just hit three threes, and you're like, "Where's the
That's true. He would have been
but,
0 for 3 with like 6 and 1s on Giannis.
But if we're in the middle of last regular season, how many of us are confident that Torrey Craig's going to shut Khris Middleton down? That's not really his matchup either. Now, at this point, they need warm bodies. Anyone who's even close to the height of a wing, like I get it. But I always thought of Craig as a guy who had more success on the Dames, the Russes, not so much the wings.
Yeah.
He was a guy Jokic didn't even really want to pass the ball to. I still think he boycotted an entire game in Memphis because Torrey Craig started. And more often than not, like I know people aren't high on it right now, but if your whole objective is to figure out the Torrey Craig, the Michael Porter Jr. thing, I think you have to take Craig away from Malone. So it feels that way now. I get why Nuggets fans feel that way about Campazzo versus Craig, but I don't think Craig in Denver this year would be some beautiful, sweet story.
I know this is like an ultimately be careful what you wish for scenario.
100%, Aaron.
Like where you're like, we got to get rid of Torrey Craig so Michael Porter Jr. can play, and it's like, why did we get rid of Torrey?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Michael Porter Jr.'s play. He can't do anything. He has no defense. Like
the guy with some positive news, guys. You guys ready for some positivity?
Oh, baby.
I'm going to inject some positivity right into your eyeballs.
Let's go.
I have a new favorite Nugget. It's not Jokic. He's out.
I already know who it is.
I don't even like that guy.
I know who it is.
I think I got this.
Starts with R.
It does.
Ends with J. Hampton.
That's right. Exactly. Does end with J. Hampton. All right. Maybe not my favorite Nugget. Maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But I got to say, man, we talk about Hartenstein and all of these guys getting chances and what are they out there to do. I'm telling you, R.J. Hampton has great people in his ear. I don't know who it is. Dude. He has great people in his ear. They're like, dude, nobody cares if you can take dudes off the dribble. Nobody cares if you can do that step, but nobody cares. Just go out there and rebound and defend and hustle and be the hardest working guy. And he has accepted that.
He saw all the different doghouses Malone was building by hand, and he thought, I'm going to play defense and I'm going to rebound. Yes, sir.
He comes into Malone's office and he's building a doghouse with RJ on it.
He's like, I'll play better D.
Well, he's like helping him build it. He's like, what do I need to do?
I'm serious, though. This guy's really impressed me in a way that, Campazzo's back now. Denver has this logjam of guards, and RJ, in my opinion, probably gets bounced from this rotation before too long, just because, again, he's not exactly the piece. But I'll be honest, man, I felt good when he was out there.
Yeah.
And I felt good when he was out there the game before.
Yeah.
When you get into a new relationship with a girl,
God.
you ask these questions. You ask these
some
questions.
love music. I'm gonna get some go-to love music for every time Dev uses a relationship.
No, but really, when you get into a new
Right?
relationship, you ask these questions like, "What are some things that you don't like about someone?
Dude, we need a whole-
What are things
what
that
kind
you
of
do
music
like
do you
about
like?
someone?" You ask these questions.
relationship
Exactly. And the only reason you ask those questions is so that you don't do the things that went bad in the past. You don't. It's not really you, but you don't want to do the things that went bad in the past. So you start to be someone else that, even if you're not, it's just who she wants.
And that's what RJ. He's landing the plane.
He's landing the plane, man.
That's what RJ Hampton is. Like, he goes out there and he does all of the things that Malone wants. Like, when's the last time we've seen a guy set up for a charge? He goes out and he rebounds exceptionally well. He's out there working hard. He does all of the things that no one else is going to do. So when things are going bad, or if you're just like, I need a little bit of energy, who do they throw out there? They throw out RJ Hampton, and he brings the spark that they don't. Facu's not there right now, so they have to get it somehow, and he's the person that they're using to get it right now.
He could, in a lot of ways, be a very comparable Torrey Craig replacement. Like, just the energy. He's got length. Like,
sure. Well, the energy, yeah, sure.
And and like Dev is saying, he's like, Malone, that's so crazy. I love ballet too. Let's go to ballet. That sounds amazing.
I thought he sort of turned a bit of a corner in that the first 3 appearances in these types of scenarios, RJ was like, I'm just going to get the rebound. I am just going to run and jump as hard as I can. Tonight, he set up a couple of plays, a couple of shots that, the pass was great, but also it just showed some forethought, right? He thought ahead. He set some guys up for some buckets. I thought he was he added a little more confidence to his game tonight. I thought he looked great.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is you start doing the base, you build your foundation on like, okay, here's what I do.
Yeah.
I rebound, I defend, I dive on the floor, and I get
Yep.
10 minutes, and that's
Yep.
it. And then you start to build off of that. Like, okay, I've been out here long enough. I know when we run this action, there's a cutting angle for
Yep.
this. I'm going to start reading that a little bit better. And you start doing little things like that, and if you've earned the trust, you can get a little bit more.
Yeah,
and he's getting more and more.
Absolutely. That being said, I do not trust him at all with the ball in his hand at all.
Oh,
like
I
it's
know.
terrifying.
You know what though? There are some guys on this team like transition Paul Millsap.
Oh my god!
I trust him less than RJ with the
my
ball in his
God.
hands.
Oh my God! Transition Millsap is
Dude, when he tried to take Dante off the dribble and got stripped in the fourth,
transition Millsap might be my least.
I'm afraid to say his
favorite
last name. I
Millsap.
always mess it up. Someone do it.
DiVincenzo?
DiVincenzo. Did I do it right?
DiVincenzo.
I would never try it.
Like, couldn't you grow up with like 18 DiVincenzo?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Is that a jersey?
You think I should be in
jersey
jersey?
Dante DiVincenzo.
Want to hit King of the Game real quick?
Let's
Yes.
say King of the Game.
Well,
it's a big
first
mystery.
off, can
Hold on.
anybody
Anybody guess who the
No,
King of the
who
Game
would you-
was?
Who are your
Who would
guesses?
you
Will Barton, bring it on in, baby. Give it to. Okay,
Whoa.
all right. It was Jokic. We're
Flacco?
kidding.
Oh,
It was somebody freaked out when they heard Will Barton. Somebody on the chat went straight for
threw
the
their
down
laptop.
vote. Like, yeah, like I
was
said,
like-
I am downvoting this. And
FFF. Oh.
I'm creating 3 burners and downvoting them all again. That's how much I'm upset about
Hey,
it.
everybody in the chat, if you agree that Jokic was the king of the game, you owe us one like.
Well, here's the thing about it, guys. Of course, DraftKings Sportsbook, the presenting sponsor of the show. You see DNVR there. Jokic tonight, 35 points. Second worst game of the last 4. Like, when you think about it, Jokic has a 47 piece. I don't remember what he got against the Lakers. It wasn't good. It was like 14 or 16 or something. He got a 47 piece,
Well,
a
it knocked
50
him out
piece.
of the MVP
It
conversation.
did. One game, it
100%.
knocked him all the way out. And now a 35 piece. Like, his scoring tonight, you could see he's getting more confident with his scoring, man. Like, and it's kind of cool. This is, again, I reference George Karl all the time, but this is where he talks about, like, I think there really might be something nice to Jokic getting to focus on score. Like, tonight, he had to just focus on that. He can do everything, but there is nice if you gave him somebody else that's like, hey, you just go down to the block. I'm going to get you. Boom. All right, you do your thing. And if you need to kick it out, I'll find a secondary action for us. Like,
Sounds
don't worry
like
about it.
What Jamal Murray should be doing.
It is a little bit like
I think Jamal Murray just needs to score, man. I think this is part of why he's in a funk right
I
now.
know. I got to say that quickly. Like, of all of the people that you do talking things with, like referencing George Karl, good call. I don't imagine you go on your other shows. You're like, I mean, I go back to what Eric was saying a lot. Like,
Anthony Irwin was making a great point last week.
Never done that one. Shouts to Anthony. Did you have something you wanted to add in there?
Yeah, but it, you know, who
Yeah,
cares?
just kinda-
I'm
How
sorry,
important
bro.
could it have been?
I
Yeah.
had to fire my
D-line.
joke
I'd
off.
rather listen to you.
So again, Jokic tonight goes 13 of 26. It is absurd that he only gets to the foul line 6 times. 3 of those were on that fake shot fake, which I'm going to say it when the Nuggets do it because I say it when other teams do it. Jokic got the call on that shot fake, step fully forward and take a shot. Like, not a foul. League's got to get rid of this, man.
Yeah, but I liked that one though.
I did like that one
one
too.
was tight.
Did keep us
That
alive.
was pretty tough.
Middleton got one as well. I think in the first
Middleton
half,
got one
going
on
back the
Barton
other
that
way.
I thought was great.
It's the
But how do you-
it's the call that makes me question my love for the
Look at
sport.
look at all the scratches on Jokic's hand. I'm seeing him right now on an interview, and like his entire hand looks like he took a
definitely-
cheese grater.
No,
and like,
you look at it, you're like, that's a
Oh.
cat owner. That's a
it's a cat owner. Maybe it's actually possible that that's exactly what that has nothing to do with basketball. Jokic. You think Jokic's a cat person or a dog person or
Cat.
both?
Probably
He's a horse
cat.
person, but
He's
a
a
horse
I was going to
person,
say he's,
yeah.
but I will say, oftentimes horse people are cat people because you have cats that live in your barn to eat the mice.
That's just science.
wow,
That's math.
that's
It's
incredible.
called a barn
No,
cat.
that's deductive reasoning. That was that was fantastic. He's right.
He's a genius.
I also think that Jokic seems like a cat person.
Yeah,
actually.
but also, just to be clear, you don't let those cats anywhere near your goddamn house. So I don't know.
I always find it weird when people have like outdoor dogs. Do you guys have? I'm sure people have this. My dogs have always like my dog's on the couch.
Oh, dude.
You know, like he's a little cuddle bug.
I just got around to seeing indoor dogs. Like, I'm not lying. Like growing up, I think my grandma would be in prison if they seen how the dog was treated growing up. That's why I don't have a love for dogs now. And I think about it because we never really seen the dog. It was
Dad,
an
you're
outside
missing
dog.
out. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
like
it is like my dog. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see my dog every night. My dog first off, my dog is a human baby.
Yeah.
So my dog will start the night under the covers, and then when I wake up, he has situated himself up on the pillow next to me, and
Yeah.
we're sharing one pillow.
Oh, yeah.
And I wake up and I go, "Good morning, Millhouse."
I'm telling. I just don't get the whole idea of like your animals are stuck outside and they're always like. He never comes. It's like raining and they're like under the porch.
No, he's
like
an outdoor cat. We didn't even really want a cat.
Yeah, like why'd you?
We just did
I
it.
tried to let the dog out a few times. The dog comes back. I'm like, what's going on here?
Well, on the other, I see Jokic is being interviewed right now. Harrison Wind, I believe, should be calling into the studio any second here live from the Ball Arena. So we'll take our last break and then we get on the other side. We'll hear what everybody had to say about this game. I imagine Jokic was asked about his frustrations with Michael Porter. I hope they were. We'll find out on the other side.
Hey, time and time again, the one thing that will protect you against economic downturns is an education that allows you to adapt. MSU Denver Online puts a dynamic education at your fingertips without forcing you to decide between earning a degree and living your life. Not having to decide right now, it's never been more important. Choosing between safety, convenience, but keeping your world turning because the world's still turning after all. So if you need to get an education, you're looking to take that next step, check out our friends at MSU Denver Online. We promise you won't regret that decision either. And then, what do I do now?
Who's your other ad?
Strava?
Strava! You guys do this in your sleep, bro.
You can subscribe now and save 20% off Strava Craft Coffee and their subscription service. We know a bunch of you have taken advantage of the one-time code. Well, you can now punch in the 20% off of every single shipment. Using DNVR 20. If you've never tried the rich CBD infused Strava Craft coffee, you're missing out. It's CBD infused, so it's not going to get you high like THC or anything like that.
You know what it does?
What does it
I
do?
took 2 CBD gummies today. I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm an adult.
Oh, I take them out every night for sleep. I have a melatonin.
It just didn't make me sleep. You know what it does? It doesn't make you high, but it makes you numb, a little numb.
I think it's the absence of symptoms for me. There's symptoms of anxiety, IBS, all that stuff. You don't notice it when you've got CBD in your coffee. There's no better way to get your CBD in your coffee than with Strava Craft Coffee. Use code DNVR20, get 20% off their subscription service.
Also,
That's
feel
it.
free
Boom.
in the comments, offer your explanation. What does honking like a goose mean? We don't know. We love it. We use it all the time. No idea what it means. Thank you.
I don't know what honking like a goose does, but I do know it has gotten a little breezy in here.
Ooh, a little breeze.
A little breeze.
Bring the man on. Bring the man on. Live from Ball Arena. Look at him. Looking svelte. He must have been on the Peloton lately.
He must have got that.
I think maybe he rode the Peloton into work. All right there, Harrison. How are you doing there at the facility, man? Was the vibes incredible? How was the crowd tonight?
The facility, yeah, that
can't hear
is a
anything.
word
Oh,
for
hang
Ball
on,
Arena.
Hang on, Wind.
Hold on a second, Win. We gotta.
our
I'm
first
sure the
time
audience.
watching
Wait, just
show.
go on a soliloquy. Just say some shit that we don't need to respond to.
Are you there, Win?
Can you guys hear me now?
There you are. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to see you guys. Miss you.
Miss you too, man.
So I'm really curious because it felt watching the broadcast like there were some frustrations tonight, in particular between Jokic and one Michael Porter Jr. Did you notice that? And can you just kind of take us to what the cameras didn't show during that interaction in the third quarter or fourth quarter, whatever it was?
Absolutely. That seemed like the big pivot point of the game to me. Michael Porter Jr. shoots that jumper, and Nikola Jokic's body language really told you all you needed to know about what he thought of that. Michael Porter Jr. from there just kind of walked back to the bench, sat down. It seemed like he was kind of psyched out of the game from that point. And, MPJ's night, I liked how he played in the first half. Then he had those 2 early turnovers in the third quarter. Michael Malone stayed with them, and Denver kind of recovered. But it seemed like to me from that point, he kind of had the yips a little bit almost. Like he was so unsure of himself. Almost every time he caught the ball there in the second half after those pair of turnovers, it seemed like to me.
So you think you noticed it from Porter kind of getting flustered from that interaction? I mean, there was a timeout, I think, immediately after this play. Were you able to follow the players to the bench there and just, what did you see?
Just a lot of frustration. Not a ton of interaction between the guys. Just kind of a lot of blank faces, except from Jokic, who we saw tonight was really visibly frustrated with a lot of things that happened. He was still pretty vocal, it seemed like, but everybody else not so much.
It is interesting. I mean, we spent a lot of time just kind of go into those frustrations, but it seemed like there was a lot there. Maybe it calmed down. I know Porter didn't, get the close there, but
Jokic is like he's like a college group project. And he shows up. He's like, "Hey guys, I got 7/8 of this done. I bound it. I put it in a PowerPoint presentation. You guys think you could just handle the attributions at the end?
Nobody does it.
Nobody does it. You get a failing grade.
In college, were you the guy that did all the group project work, or were you the guy that didn't do any?
I went to art school, so I just painted garbage. I mean,
All right. Well, what about the media availability, Wind? I mean, who all spoke, and where do you want to start with this? I got a lot of questions for this media availability.
Yeah, so we spoke to Michael Malone, of course, Nikola, Jamal, and Will Barton. And the guy who stood out the most, or whose comments stood out the most, was Jamal Murray. This was the most frustrated I've seen Jamal Murray all season, by far. It seems like after a lot of losses this year, he's been just really level-headed, really confident that they were going to bounce back. He was very, very frustrated after this one tonight. Michael Malone pretty much came out and said defense was the reason they lost, and Jamal kind of followed that and said, quote, I was 4-17, 1-7 from 3 rebounds. That's frustrating, really frustrating. Coach is doing everything he can on the offensive end to get us good looks, but he can't get back on defense for us. He can't shoot the ball for me. And then another notable thing Jamal Murray said was that the injuries are taking a toll on him. I mean, we can talk about this, but he's still obviously not close to 100%, and I think he might have picked up another injury tonight. But he pretty much just said he's trying to take care of his body, and he's not getting up any shots or shooting the ball on off days. He's only shooting the ball on game days, and that's because he's trying to keep his body fresh with all the injuries he's had. So it continues to pile up for him on that front, and he was really, really frustrated post-game.
It's interesting that he's talking about it as much as he has this season because, you know, really in covering his career, he doesn't like to talk about the injuries, and he likes to play it off, and he likes to kind of give the wink or this or that. But it seems like over this last week or so, I mean, they're just piling up, like you said. That there's nowhere else for him to go, and he's kind of being open about how banged up he is.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's just because it's really affecting his play now more than ever. I mean, you guys know me. I've always been the one to kind of joke, but also kind of be a little serious that when Jamal Murray's hurt, like the level of his play goes up a notch.
Right.
But now the injuries have just compounded to such an extent where it's hurting him just so much out there. And at least to me, he was fading away on so many shots tonight.
Oh.
It just seems like he can't get any separation. He doesn't have that explosiveness. He doesn't have that whatever first step he had before, he doesn't have it, and it's just really hurting him out there.
Yeah, I went back and watched some highlights of Jamal Murray in the bubble. It's do that tonight. Like, go and watch Jamal Murray in the bubble and see how fast he is, how decisive he is, how elusive he is, and then compare it to like what you see tonight. It's like night and day. They're just like not even the same player. It is like there were a couple times where, I mean, that like big three that he missed that was wide open. When he missed it, you could just see him. He turned around, dropped his head, walked outside. You could just see him like swearing. Like, I mean, he's super frustrated. It's like Jamal knows he's not playing well. I mean, like he doesn't need us to tell him or the comments to tell him he's not playing well. Like, he gets it. But I mean, I don't know how you get to that next level. And I really do think a lot of it just comes down to health, unfortunately.
Is he just going to get more hurt, though? I mean, if they just keep playing him through this, do they have to just bite the bullet, take some L's for a couple of weeks? We'll find out. But
yeah, we'll find out.
Stay tuned.
What else was said today, Harrison? Was there anything else from Jamal?
Yeah, Jamal Murray's other notable quote, he was kind of asked about this team's identity being the resilient ones and always kind of fighting back. And Jamal pretty much said, I don't want to be the resilient team anymore. I don't want to be the team that bounces back. We've got to start hitting first.
I think that's fair. I think that's all good and fair.
They did. They scored 40 points.
When?
Tonight in the first quarter, they hit first. And
then they did
like,
well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they are hitting first, and then they're just, and then they're like taking a nap.
Forgetting to come out of halftime.
Yeah, man. Like, what the H?
Yeah, these third quarters. All right, what about Malone? I want to hear what Malone had to say and what his sort of temperament was in the post game.
Yeah, he was frustrated as well. His opening quote was pretty much, we've lost 3 in a row because we haven't defended anybody. And look, like, Milwaukee came into tonight. They have the number 1 offense in the league. They're lighting absolutely everybody up. And I mean, we know this, guys. This Nuggets roster, it's not built to be an elite defensive team. Like, it's just not. The Nuggets' only way to win tonight was probably going to be to outscore the Bucks, right? And they did that in the first half. They didn't do that in the second half. Like, I get what Michael Malone's saying, but to ask this team to keep Milwaukee like under 110 points or under 105 points, is that realistic?
Yeah, probably not. Especially the way they were coming tonight from their length. Giannis and Middleton just kind of getting whatever they wanted.
God, Giannis's game is so irritating.
He really is the Shaq of this era. It's like the perfect comp.
Oh my God.
The stuff he does, you're just kind of like, well, you either have a guy physically that can do it, or you make the wall and then hope they don't hit threes. But he's just so athletically dominant.
Every time he shot a three in the first half, we were just dying of laughter, like thinking about like every slam post that comes out in the summer, like of Giannis cashing a three, and they're like, "Oh, put the league on notice. Giannis learned how to shoot," and then he like airballs.
He hit one.
Threes. Then he hit two.
Oh, he hit two. That's right.
He banked that one in.
Oh, he banked that one. You're right. Oh man, that was a rough one. What else from Malone? Anything else? I mean, did he speak at all about Porter and Jokic?
You know, not particularly. It was a shorter session, but he didn't really speak about that interaction or anything. He did touch on how not having Gary Harris and PJ Dozier against Milwaukee's guards and wings and Khris Middleton obviously played a big role in just how easy the Bucks scored tonight. But, you know, like, it is what it is. Those guys are out right now. You know, injuries happen. So he did not speak about the Porter-Jokic interaction, though.
Did he mention Porter's game at all? Was he asked about it in his struggles? I mean, it's been a few in a row. All right, what about Jokic?
So I pretty much just asked Jokic because he went right after Jamal in the media thing. And like I was saying, Jamal was visibly frustrated, just pissed off. And I asked kind of Jokic what his frustration level is right now. And he kind of deflected. And then at the end, he circled back and said, quote, "I think frustration is a good thing. Being mad is a good thing. It's just going to make us better, hopefully." So I guess that's another way to look at it.
It is an interesting way to look at it. That does show good perspective, I guess, from Jokic. Like, I'm not going to lie. It does. Yeah. It is tough when you see your player kicking the chair or screaming at guys or this or that, because you do wonder, like, is this the good type of frustration or is it the bad?
I think it is. I think it's really good. I think it's like – passion is, this is the thin line between love and hate, because passion is just something that it causes you. It just like makes the human, like a human, react, and it's like he wants to win. Like, you can't accuse Jokic of just kind of going through the motions. Like, it's great to see emotion when it's tied to the results, because that means you care what happened, right? Like,
and it may not, and almost probably won't work out for Denver this way, but a lot of teams that succeeded, reached the mountaintop, did a lot of great things. In hindsight, the stories, the books that come out after, they all highlight moments where there was tension, right? And they don't necessarily point to it, maybe as a turning point, but as a catalyst for good things to come too. I think the big takeaway is Jokic cares, Jokic wants this, and him feeling that pressure is something to watch if and as the team continues to struggle.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. And Jokic was asked about kind of the MPJ interaction, and he said he talked to Michael Porter post-game about that particular shot. And he said he just explained to him that he thought it was a bad shot.
Love to hear that. I'd love to hear that, honestly. No, seriously. I mean, that is a concern. Like, is it just bad language from body language from Jokic? Does he just look angry? Because not a lot of guys are going to be receptive to just getting yelled at. But if he's also taking the time to speak his mind, which is something in the past with Jokic we've been worried about.
Absolutely.
So it's good to hear that he's at least making that effort.
Watching all of Jokic's career has just been it's been such a joy in so many different ways. But this is another part of it, like seeing him try to learn and navigate the road towards leadership and all these different things. And I don't know, it's just fun. It is very different from where he was 2-3 seasons ago, and probably very different from where he will be 2 or 3 seasons from now.
Yeah, I mean, it is cool. Like, this is why, like, long-term fandom is worthwhile, because you get to see this growth of Nikola Jokic. Like, he comes over, he's like, we literally know nothing about him. He does a couple like interesting passes. We're intrigued. Then, like his first couple years in the league, he's not big enough. He gets pushed around. Then he gets too big, and he takes the first part off of every season. Like now, Jokic is just like, he's here, man. Like Jokic is everything we thought he was going to be, and like now he really is taking that leader mantle. And like leadership comes from just saying like, this is where we're going. Like I am showing you where we are going.
Right.
That's what it is to be a leader. I mean, there's like a lot of different manifestations of what it is to get to that place. What's going on there?
We're giving an impassioned speech.
That was
That
sounded like
ballerina.
that sounded like the death rattle of a honking goose. If I'm being all right, F it.
Harrison, what else do you have? Anything else you got from? Did the Reverend have anything really insightful?
Yeah, Will Barton on just the Nuggets defense tonight, and specifically Khris Middleton, who had 29 and looked incredible. He said he'll take full responsibility for that. Barton said, "That's on me. Middleton kicked my ass."
There you go, haters.
You're right.
He also knows. God damn it.
Well, all right. Well, Harrison, I mean, Nuggets in a little bit of a rut here. A couple tough games. We were talking about this. Lakers, the Kings who'd been streaking, and now, obviously the Bucks. It's a couple tough ones, but they have an opportunity with some teams coming up to kind of bounce back, and I'm kind of curious. Do you have any closing thoughts before we hop
Harrison,
out
we're in
here?
a bad place. We need this closing thought to be insightful and therapeutic. Not just for the commenters, but for us too. All right, go.
I mean, I'll just say that I think it was a little refreshing to hear Jamal Murray just say how frustrated he was and just kind of voice that, because they've been trying to keep just a real level head all season. Yeah. But I think it boiling over can be a good thing.
Yeah. We'll find out. The nice thing about this season, you don't have to sit on losses for long. We're going to be back here. What is it, Monday? We're going to be back here on Wednesday.
I think it's every other day for
other day for the entire month. So we'll be back. And then don't forget it. Thanks so much, Harrison. We'll kind of let you go. Get home safely, buddy.
Blowing out of here.
But, the other thing with it is, we'll be back here on Wednesday pregame show. We hope you guys hop in. If you missed today's pregame show, you can go back because we talk about things that are evergreen. We don't just preview the game.
Right.
We always try to bring a topic that gives you reason to go back and check them out. They're like miniature podcasts. They're honestly like miniature DNBA shows. You should go check them out. But we'll be back on Wednesday. But also tomorrow, guys, I'm going to be doing a notebook pod. I'll rewatch the game. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe to the DNVR Nuggets podcast because those ones go on in between these shows. Fellas, this wasn't the worst Losers Lounge. But
the worst.
You know what? A great Losers Lounge, still not as good as a bad Winners
I
Lounge.
know. There's no. Yeah, that's the thing. Like
That's true.
when
DraftKings.
you got to watch. The reason to watch the pregame is not to hear Adam's evergreen content. It's to get his green solutions, which is to get money.
Is that
man.
a money
And by the way,
solution?
guys,
Where the money was at?
new rule going forward that we learned tonight: just bet against the Nuggets in the third quarter
Oh my
every
God.
time.
You know that
Every time.
Oh my God, it's true. Kale hit that. I didn't have the guts to do it. You hit it too. But Kale was like, "Yeah, hit me in my third," and I was like, "I don't want to hear it, bro. I don't want to hear it."
Yeah, you're right. The Nuggets are losing. Cool.
Thanks so much for riding with us, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Let's freaking go.
Let's freaking go.